So if we look at the certifications, kind of a little bit in detail, a couple of things to note is that first, at this kind of beginner's level here for cloud practitioner, if you take the class, and this is true for all of the certifications, there's a class associated with these certifications. Taking the class gives you about 60 to 80% of the material you need to pass the exam. AWS doesn't say that enough. We've asked them to, they don't. So I'm just letting you know now that just because you take Cloud Practitioner Essentials, that only gets you 60 to 80% of the material you need to actually pass the exam. Because for example, Cloud Practitioner Essentials, the 1-day course doesn't actually really cover billing in the detail necessary to pass the exam. So we're going to go through a 3-step process about kind of following a guide around how to get expertise, some hands-on experience, and some practice exams so that you can get ready for the exam. But at this base level, you're going to spend about 4 weeks preparing for Cloud Practitioner at 5 hours a week. So it's about 20 hours. If you decide to do the blue levels up here, the associates levels, that's going to take about 40 hours. So it's usually 8 weeks at 5 hours a week. And then up here, you're looking at 60 hours. So it's a pretty linear progression, right? It's 20, 40, 60 for the professional exams and also for the specialty exams, right? So it'll take about 60 hours of study for you to prepare for the exam outside of the class. The classes, by the way, tend to run from 3 to 5 day classes. Obviously, Cloud Practitioner Essentials is a 1-day class. It is recommended that you can go to any certification at any point in time. It is recommended that if you decide to go after any of the certifications above Cloud Practitioner, just go ahead and get Cloud Practitioner. Not only will it build your confidence, but you'll get the base level knowledge around all the services. And not only that, you'll get a 50% discount on the higher level exams. So when you take Cloud Practitioner, they usually give you coupons with it for a discount. So instead of paying $150 or $300 for the exams, you'll pay $75 or $150. And even if you're getting reimbursed, don't worry, the company will appreciate that tiny little chunk of change back. It is worth stating also is that AWS is now 15 years old. So this is an expected thing that you ideally would already know. I know that sounds weird because you're like, wait, I'm just getting my career. I get it. Just telling you that that's not to like FOMO you or shame you or anything like that. It's just to let you know that certification in cloud is almost expected now to a certain degree, or at least really strong portfolio inside your GitHub repo so you can share it out with people, things like CloudFormation or code or whatever you've deployed. So just know that getting certifications is still for AWS or really any of them like Azure or Google is extremely valuable. So, and Booz in particular is really big on certifications, and they'll look for that when you go to apply for jobs. So just FYI. So that all being said, the other thing I want to mention about certification is that it is ideal that you would have either 1 year or 2 years of actual hands-on experience with cloud at the associates level, which is the blue hexagons, or the green, which is the professional, which is the green hexagons. The specialty exams, the ones in purple on the right-hand side, it's assumed that you've been in the role for a number of years before you go after a specialty exam. Because I just got to tell you, while the specialty exams are very narrow, they are very deep. And in particular, even though I've never taken this particular specialty exam, like advanced networking is considered to be one of the most brutal exams that you can take with AWS. So, you've been warned if you decide to go that route. If you decide to go after purple and you have no prior certification, it is highly recommended that if you go after one of the purple specialty exams, go get the blue solutions architect exam first. Why? Because it's going to set you up for success with all the stuff you're going to have to learn over on the purple side. So even if you don't get the certification, study as if you're going to be an architect, and then that'll help you when you get your security specialization or your data analytics specialization or whatnot. So to rehash that, if you're going after any exam and you have no prior certification, it is recommended that you go to Cloud Practitioner. If you decide you want to go straight to the purple exams, which is the specialty exams, you might actually at least want to get the knowledge of a solutions architect in blue on the left-hand side first. So just a few prerequisites that we've seen that really make people successful in their roles. Now, with the exception of the system operations exam, which I'm going to highlight right here in red, all of these exams are trivia exams. Now, don't make me sound like I am trivializing, intentionally done, the exam. I'm not making these exams like somehow they're easy just because they're asking you a bunch of trivia questions. They're not. And particularly as you go up the chain here, right, these exams get orders of magnitude harder. So Cloud Practitioner, you don't really have to have any hands-on experience. 6 months would be nice, but really it's a pure exam. Do you know how the services function? Do you know how billing functions inside of Amazon? Do you know how security works? That's cloud practitioner. The other exams, they start getting scenario based. Do you know how to design inside of AWS? And they ask you harder questions as you get up the chain, right? So just know that even though it's a trivia exam, it does get really hard, and you do want hands-on expertise, especially if you want to like really learn and master the concepts. Okay. System operations at present is the only exam that I'm aware of that actually has a hands-on component. You actually have a series of lab questions where either through the console or through the command line, you have to make things happen, like create a VPC or make a load balancer or whatnot. But don't worry, our study guide basically has some hands-on experience, and we have supplemental labs for you as well that will allow you to practice those scenarios so that you can be very comfortable when you approach the exam. So any questions about what this certification is, why the certification is important, or the different levels of certification, and kind of some of the prerequisites there?
Hi, this is Chris Lee.
Hey,
I do
Chris.
have a question.
Ask away.
For the trivia-like ones, what are the like number of questions and times that you could expect?
Oh yeah, no, we'll hop into that. So I'll get into that very specifically here in just a second. You set me up. It was perfect. Other questions before I hop into Chris's question? Okay. So to answer your question specifically, Chris, and we're going to choose cloud practitioner as the one we're going to pick on, but I'll go into the other ones as well, just to give you a general feel. So in general, right, this is like cloud practitioner is a 65 question exam, and it's either multiple choice or multiple right answer. Like they'll say, hey, choose 2 or choose 3 out of 5 or 6. The cost is $100 at this foundational level exam, and it's 90 minutes to complete the exam. They will, by the way, throw in other questions. So sometimes you can see the test be 75 questions long. That means 10 of the questions, by the way, are throwaways, meaning they're either testing the waters to see how people do at, the foundational level with those questions. And so they won't actually count towards your total score. So, but in general, 65 questions of these are going to count. Now, one thing that's worth noting is that all of these exams have an exam guide, which we don't recommend that you memorize per se, but it can actually give you more information. The one piece that's actually probably super, super relevant is there's usually a box here that will tell you what percentage of the exam is like weighted, like what's the most important things to know. As you can see here, about 25 to 30% of the exam covers the first domains, and then about 1/6 of the exam is about billing and pricing. So if you ever have to feel like, well, where can I focus, right? Oops, sorry.
It's Greg. Just very, very quickly. Hey guys, how's everybody doing? Greg with WebH here. Just so you know, anybody that's signed up to take training starting Monday through December 3rd, just so you know, Michael, all those folks do get vouchers included in their package.
Okay.
So I just kind of saw where you're showing the pricing, and you may have been aware of that, but just I know you're doing 3 more sessions today. So just so you know, if anybody is scheduled from Monday the 15th through the last class finishes on December 3rd, there's 9 classes running in the next 3 weeks, basically. All those folks that are registered in those courses do get the exam voucher included, and they will be sent after the class is over, just so they're aware of that as well.
Okay. Are those double shots or single shots?
So if it's practitioners, it's double shots. All the practitioners are double shots because that falls out. I know won't make sense. The practitioners course does not fall under the APN special pricing program umbrella. So, but the people that are taking any of the 3-day classes, that's all APN pricing. And the APN pricing does not include the double shot voucher. It's just the regular single voucher. Okay. So anyway, I know that sounds
weird,
but that's just, weird, but that's just how it is. So if you're taking the practitioners, you get 2 chances to pass. If you're taking the other one, the voucher is only good for one attempt.
Good. So, okay. And I'll clarify that.
Yeah. And all of them also are getting the Dojo tutorials licensing, which after we'll show them how to sign them next week when they actually take the training, then we'll get them the next day. So anyway, But you can walk them through what they are and give them some examples of how they work, which I think you're doing. All right, I got to jump off. Everybody have a great day.
All right,
Thanks
Greg.
talking to you folks.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Bye.
Okay, so by the way, just so you know, Greg Wagner is the primary liaison for Booz. So if you ever have any questions about the program or any like linkages there, you just saw his email address, but I'll post it again inside chat. If you ever need like to get the person who kind of runs the overarching certification program, you can talk to him for WebAge. Okay, so back to what we were talking about, which I'll explain the single shot and double shot thing here in a second. But what this is that these exam guides will tell you exactly how the exams are weighted. So also know they'll tell you exactly what it is they want you to understand. They want you to understand the concepts of security, global reach, economy of scale. All of this, by the way, is covered in the digital class for Cloud Practitioner as an example. And it's in the student guide that you get when you actually take the course. So when you get the AWS student guide, it'll be included in there as well. Now, this is all Cloud Practitioner. If we go back and take a look at one of the other exams, because remember, that was $100 in a 90-minute, 65 questions. If we come out and say, let's say, look at Solutions Architect, because everything at the same level is the same price and the same kind of questions. So this one is a little over 2 hours for Solutions Architecture. It's $150 if you don't have a discount voucher, and it's also 65 questions. The only one that doesn't follow the standard format is the SysOps Administrator exam. This one, by the way, is 180 minutes, $150, so standard pricing, but this has 65 multiple choice responses and an exam lab, which will be about 2 or 3 of the questions. So just something to be aware of. If we go take a look at the last one at developer, notice it's the same as Solutions Architects, 130 minutes, $150, 65 questions, no hands-on portion. SysOps Associates is the only certification that has hands-on pieces right now. If we look at the professional and the specialty level exams, they're 180 minutes, just like the SysOps exam, but they're $300. They're not $150. And notice that it goes to 75 questions, but still trivia and scenario based. So it's not going to have a hands-on portion, not yet. Just so you know, these exams are all going to get harder in 2022, 2023. So, you know, I'm not saying you should shy away from that, but if you're thinking about it, you should go for it. Last one, just to look at a specialty exam. Notice it's not 180 minutes, 170, but $300, 65 questions, no hands-on lab portion. Chris, I hope that answered your question, but did anybody else have any questions in general about the pricing, the structure, and the number of questions, or even where to find it?
So I just got my solution architect in September, the associate, and I'm going for professional just because I have it fresh in my brain, and I also have enough experience to hopefully be good with it. Is it worth my time to go back and get the Cloud Practitioner one? I just never got it.
Well, I will tell you this. So here's the funny thing, Alex. If you go back and get Cloud Practitioner and you already have Solutions Architect Associate, and then you take the Pro, when you pass the Pro, it'll automatically recertify and extend every single certification you have beneath that.
Okay.
So if the number of certifications is important to you, I say go back and get Cloud Practitioner. But if you're already going after Developer Pro, it might be a good idea. You'll probably knock the Cloud Practitioner out in like a week of study. You just literally could go straight to the practice exams at that point, since you already have the experience. And you would take the practice exams just to make sure you didn't have any gaps about the questions they would ask you. Not gaps in actual applied knowledge, just gaps in what the trivia they're going to ask you about.
Right. Yeah, no, the developer one in particular, I remember when I did the developer one like 5 years ago, and I remember that one being really, really hard on the trivia, whereas it seemed like the Solutions Architect one was not hard in the trivia, a little more in the practical knowledge.
Yeah, and the funny thing about that is if you take the so for the chain that you're following here, right, is that if you take Solutions Architect, what will happen is that these will all recertify.
Right.
If you were taking this one, which I actually just took recently, recertified, both of these and this all refresh. They get extended. So even though I have to take Cloud Practitioner at least once a year just to see what it's like, it got extended for 3 years because I had taken the DevOps Pro, right? So,
got it.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, yeah, it's one of those things. So I guess basically, if I'm already planning on going Solutions Architect Pro, I'll probably just keep down that path for the next couple months, or at least for the next probably month and a half. Take the class, study for all that good stuff, and then maybe sometime in the next year take cloud practitioner. So when I re-up solution architect professional in a couple of years, then I have that nice flow.
Perfect. That sounds great. That's
Okay,
actually
cool.
exactly what I would do. Honestly, I probably wouldn't throw CPE in there unless you actually needed like a number. Hey, I've got 3 certifications, right?
Got
But
it.
honestly, if you have Solutions Architect Pro, probably no one's going to care that you have CPE or not.
Yeah, well, it's not even like, yeah, you get solution architect pro. It's not even like you're mentioning you have solution architect associate at that point either. So
Yeah. Well, although it does show a progression and a commitment, so people usually appreciate that you've got the mid
Sure.
and the high level. So
sure.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Good. So that should answer most of the questions around the logistics of the various exams that you could take. Again, just remember, this one's different. That one's different than everybody else. So that's the one you need to be mindful of. In terms of difficulty, by the way, this is a level 1 exam. These are level 3 through 5 exams. These are level like 7, 8, maybe 9 exams. These, by the way, are all 8, 9, and 10 exams, like in terms of like difficulty. So just in terms of like orders of magnitude, the associate's exams are super easy compared to the professional and the specialty exams. So make sure you double down on preparation if you decide to take those. I have all of the certifications except for this one and this one. So just be mindful. I can't speak to those 2 that I don't have, but just know they are intense. Okay. Other things to note. We talked about the exam guides, we talked about the logistics, so you're aware of everything that's going on inside of those certifications. The only other thing that's probably worth exploring, because we want to make sure that you're comfortable with this process, is that let's say that you're going to sign up for one. So like, just to say this for giggles, I have to actually take machine learning before the end of the year, which, has been kind of fun, actually, kind of a whole different beast compared to like infrastructure. But if I go to click on schedule an exam, the first thing that's going to happen is it's going to say, hey, I need you to sign in. Now your sign in, by the way, since none of us are APNs. Now I say that, I know that some people at Booz are APNs. They're basically part of the Amazon Partner Network, but most of the people at Booz are not. So unless you know that you have an APN login, you're going to do the thing on the left. You're not going to do the thing on the right. So even though I am part of an authorized training partner and I'm a certified AAI with Amazon authorized instructor, I actually have my own separate login. And I actually just use an Amazon account. In this particular case, it's actually IT Amazonian. Go figure. And so I actually sign in. The reason I do that is then that way the certifications stay with me and they're not tied with anybody else. So although I have 3 certification logins, so that's weird in and of itself. Once you log in, it actually takes you into what's called Cert Metrics. So you start at the Amazon training site, you get logged in, it takes you to a website called Cert Metrics. From here, what happens is that, kind of curious as to what's going on. They seem to have changed the format a little bit. What happens here is that then here's all the available exams that you could take that you're eligible to take. Notice that there's really no limitation. You can go straight to any exam, as we talked about. So let's say I want to sign up for machine learning. And the reason this is important is that you're all going to end up with vouchers. So the reason this process is important is I'm going to show you basically where you stick your voucher in so you don't pay money for this, right? Now, I would highly recommend for all of you, and I want you to be super COVID safe. Like if you're not comfortable, don't do this. But I would highly recommend that you take this at a test center. Here's why, because I'm actually going to choose online. When you go into a test center, you walk in, you give your stuff up, you walk right in, they put you in a station and you go to town and you're good. If you decide to do this at home, which is actually what I'm going to choose, please, please, please read all the details around your testing space, your computer, and your photo ID, because the testing space in particular can be brutal. Meaning, like, for example, I have 2 monitors on my desk and a bunch of stuff here. That's not going to work. If you decide to take the exam at home, you need to be on a table where you can actually take a photograph of all 4 sides. You can only have 1 monitor. And if someone walks in repeatedly into your exam, not just once, but repeatedly, they're going to fail you and you're not going to get your money back. So, if you can create that isolation, and, just to say this, I solved this by just grabbing a laptop and going and sit in my dining room and kicking everybody out of the house, right? So just know that when you take the online proctored exam, please make sure you read this in detail, because they'll give you warnings and they'll be nice about it. But if you violate the constraints 2 or 3 times, they will fail you. Just letting you know, right? And I just want to avoid that for students. Other weird things, like you can't go like this, you can't like cover your mouth. You don't get anything to write on. Obviously you can't wear a watch and other things. So just, keep it simple. Recommendation, go take it at a testing center. Just makes it a lot easier. I can't tell you the shenanigans I've gotten into with the online testing. It's awesome. It's convenient, but it does require you to shift things around. Okay. So let's say I'm not going to a testing center. I've decided to do it online. I've read everything. I've stripped everything off my desk, blah, blah, blah. I know what the policies are. And I've got my passport and or my driver's license or military ID or whatever, right? So I click on next because I want to do it online. And they're going to ask you a bunch of questions like, hey, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, English, going to be English, even though I studied Japanese in college. And then I've signed up for the machine learning specialty. So it's just confirming that like, this is what I wanted. And then the next thing it's going to do is going to ask you to consent to a bunch of things like data processing, facial recognition, third-party prohibition, limited license. They're going to compare your face against a known database, right, to verify. And they're going to list all the admissions and other things. Now I'm kind of skimming through this. You're going to read it. Including things like cancellation, which usually they give you a 48-hour cancellation policy. And by the way, you can only reschedule your exam 3 times, and then they're just going to ask you to cancel it and reschedule it. So yeah, so there you go. So you're going to read all that. And the other thing is that you're going to choose your proctoring language, which means, do you want them to speak English or do you want them to speak Japanese? Those are the only 2 options. I don't know why Chinese isn't an option. That'd be cool. And then what happens is you're going to pick your day. Now they run these 24/7 if they're online proctored. Obviously, if it's at a testing center, it's probably going to be like 9 to 5, right? But let's say I choose this Saturday because I'm interested in taking the machine learning exam on Saturday, which actually I'm not. So let's actually pick a real time because I got to do a little bit of studying before I actually take this exam. I think I was thinking the 18th actually. All right, so let's say it's the 18th. That's when I'm going to take it, and I want to display it in 24 hours. And I really start to wilt like a flower past a certain time frame. So I'm going to take it at 2:45 in the afternoon, military time. And so what's going to do is it's going to confirm everything that you just asked for. And then what's going to happen is it's going to say, hey, you want to proceed to checkout? Awesome. This is where you stick your voucher promotion code. So all of you who are taking a class between now and December 7th, I think you said, you're going to get a voucher. That voucher is good for 1 attempt at the exam. If you fail and you're taking any other exam except for cloud practitioner, you're going to have to like pay for it yourself or work it out with your manager, however that works. But you get a free one shot, what we call a one-shot exam voucher, and you would submit it here. Once you put it in here, and in this case, I would actually put in my credit card number and everything and all my billing information. And you hit next, it's going to confirm all your details, which I'm not going to do. And then it's going to immediately send you an email. So don't worry, they're going to send you emails and make sure that you're aware that you have an exam, that you're taking it this time, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So just know that if you're taking Cloud Practitioner Essentials and you fail the exam, you get 2 chances. That's a double shot. So if you fail the first one, they're going to let you take it again. But that's only Cloud Practitioner Essentials. Every other exam, you have 1 shot at the voucher. That's it. Beyond that, again, just work it out with your manager if you want to take it again. Let's see. Is there a time to wait before you retake if you fail? It's 14 days, Chris, as standard, Chris Lee. So if you fail the exam, it's going to be 14 days before you can take it again.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah. In the old days, like 3 years ago, we used to take the exam, fail it, and then we just take it again the next day, right? I think they figured out what we were doing. Yeah. So yeah, they don't do that now. They force you to wait 14 days. Okay. I know that was a little bit of a speed run. Questions about the sign up process? Hey, Daryl, how's it going?
Hi. And that the voucher has to be used by the 31st, right? The December. Or is
Yes,
it-
yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, the voucher has to be used. So you have to take the exam before the end of the year.
Okay.
So that's a good point, actually. Thank you for saying that.
Mhm.
Yeah, so you have to take it before the end of December. Otherwise, the voucher expires. So, yeah, you have to get on it a little bit.
Both times, or
Yeah,
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
the voucher expires by December 31st. So here's the great thing, though. The cloud practitioner is the only one that's double shot. It takes 4 weeks to study. If you start now, you probably take your first exam by let's say the week of the 15th or whatever. You could take it again after Christmas if you wanted to. So, yeah. Sorry,
Hi.
Kelly.
Yep. Thank
Hi.
you. Good morning. So, and you actually just answered my question. I was going to ask, kind of what's the recommended time to study between taking the training and the certification. But in your experience, 4 weeks is enough time to study for the practitioner exam, or do you recommend taking more time?
Yeah, Kelly. So when we send the video out, you'll see it at the beginning of the video. This just to give you a general breakdown of the timeframes that are required. So you can start studying at any time, and I highly recommend that you don't wait for the class to start studying. Get into it now. But generally, at the cloud practitioner level, which is this base level here, it's going to take you about 20 hours at 4 weeks at 5 hours a week. This one takes about 40 hours, so 20 and 40 respectively, and then 60 up here for these.
Thank you. I joined a little late, so I apologize if we went over that, but thank you.
Nah, it's okay. Ask away. So 20, 40, 60. And we assume 5 hours a week because it's really hard for working individuals to contribute more than 5 hours a week because most of us are brain dead, especially on Thursdays and Fridays. So 4 weeks, 6 weeks, and 8 weeks. Sorry, is that right? No. It's 4 weeks, 8 weeks, and 12 weeks. Sorry, to study respectively. So the great thing is I think most of the classes are either associates level or cloud practitioner level, but just know is that typically we kind of recommend an 8-week cycle. So if you're taking solutions architect associates or sysops administrator associates or developer associates, we want you to, you want to get on it now. If you're taking the DevOps Pro or the Solutions Architecture Pro, which I think at least one of them, I think actually both of those are running actually, just know that you're going to be under a condensed time frame. So you're going to have to squeeze your 60 hours into an 8-week period. So it's going to be a little bit more than 5 hours. It's going to be more like 7 or 8 hours. Okay. You only got one shot anyway, so you could take it after Christmas or before Christmas, whichever is more comfortable for people. Okay. So I keep talking about ways to study. You can take the class at any point in time. One thing that you ideally will all have access to, so moving beyond the certification details, is that in your respective base camps, so like for example, this is Cloud Practitioner Essentials. Inside of this should be a simplified study guide. Hopefully this is a Google Doc because that way I can update it in real time. Now, notice here that this is just study material and practice exams that you can start at any point in time. It also includes access to supplemental labs. So the cool thing about working for Booz is that you're going to get a number of things from us. One, you get the exam voucher, which we've already talked about. Two, you have access to this study guide, which is for cloud practitioners actually really simple. For the others, it's a lot more complex. Three, you're going to get access to supplemental labs on amazon.quicklabs.com, which I'm going to talk about in a second. Those are free labs that allow you to log into somebody else's AWS account and run through different scenarios so you can actually drive the concepts deeper. And the last thing that you get from us is you get practice exams from Tutorials Dojo, which thus far has 100% pass track record for anybody who's actually done what we asked them to do. No guarantee, obviously, but students who've done what we've asked have passed the first time 100% of the time. Okay. So this exam like study guide here, this like program certification like guide, this actually is absolutely like essential for you to pass. Amazon, by the way, has a bigger one that you can look at, but it's a little bit of overtraining, especially under this kind of condensed time frame. But there are ramp up guides that have been co-written by us and Amazon that are out there that are a lot lengthier. This one is streamlined just for your particular fall program. Okay. Notice that this Digital Practitioner Essentials actually has training to a new website that Amazon just published called AWS Skill Builder. This is not AWS.training, even though it says that right there, right? If we click on this, what will actually happen is it will actually take you to AWS.training, most likely, and then it's going to redirect you to Skill Builder, which is this new slick site that they have where you can enroll in the digital class for cloud practitioners. Just know that Cloud Practitioners is the only one that has a digital class that actually walks through all the material. All the rest don't have this digital class. You have to take it in person. So this program guide, whether you're taking Architecting Associates or Architecting Pro, contains pretty much everything that we know that you need to know in order to pass the exam, right? So this is all going to require some measure of study. This is the 5 hours a week or 10 hours a week that I was talking about. Now, Cloud Practitioner is pretty simple. Let's choose DevOps Engineering. Or actually, sorry, I think Matt was taking Advanced Architecting. So let's talk about that one. Alex was taking Advanced Architecting. Is that right, Alex? That was you, right?
Correct. It's the one for Solution Architect Pro.
Yeah. So this is the one for Solutions Architect Pro. So for those of you in Cloud Practitioner, be thankful because you don't have to do this, right? I actually just did this recently. So notice there's a ton of white papers here because that's what architects do, is we design and understand ilities and stuff like that. There are labs in here. There's a couple of digital trainings on exam readiness. And then every single exam, after you get past the expertise building and the practice exams, the supplemental labs, you end with practice exams. So just be aware that all of these certifications end with practice exams that you need to spend some time kind of digesting and studying, which I'm going to talk about in detail here in just a second. So this includes, by the way, some digital training, some white papers. Notice that most of these white papers are only going to take about an hour to go through, but it does actually depend on your retention, right? Because, for example, this is the reliability pillar of the well-architected framework. Do you need to memorize this entire thing? No, you don't, right? But you do need to know enough about it to be able to provide some abstraction about high-level concepts, right? So this is a 75-page document, really 66-page documents. And what it does is it just talks about very definitions and design principles. You don't need to be able to rattle this stuff off if you decide to take the Architecting Pro, but just know that you need to have some idea of the general concepts around resiliency, around scalability, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So, and this is done. I just did this fairly recently, right? So, it's easily done. It just requires focus and dedication to do it. Okay, so that's the program study guide. Every base camp, except for system operations, should have that in there already. Now, in addition to having this certification study guide in there, there's also a list of how to access the supplemental quick labs, which all of this happens on amazon.quicklabs.com, which I'm going to show you what that looks like. If you've taken a class with me, you've seen this already. So Quick Labs is the official lab provider for the instructor-led classes for Amazon. They also have a public side, which oddly enough, the URL is amazon.quicklabs.com, exactly what you see here. And any Booz employee who signs up for this with their bah.com email who has taken a class with us gets free unlimited credits on this website. I say free and unlimited. They're free for you. And I don't know if they're unlimited, but let us know if you run out and we'll replenish them, right? Because we buy them in chunks. So just know if you're like, hey, I don't really know a whole lot about Lambda, Michael. And you're like, I want to, not you, Michael, I'm talking to myself, right? I'm not Michael Chusoy, right? Talking to myself. So, and you need to get some hands-on experience with Lambda. If you come in here, you click on Start Lab, which I'm not going to do because it's going to eat one of my credits. What it will do is it'll literally give you the login to an AWS account managed by Quick Labs, and then you can walk through the process of creating your buckets, creating the Lambda function, including all the code and other stuff that you would need, testing your function, and monitoring and logging your function if you don't know, like understand how these concepts function. So this is the supplemental labs phase. This is going to give you the hands-on experience that you need to feel comfortable with the concepts if you really want that. So the program study guide gives you expertise building. This gives you experience building. And then the very last thing that we cover, and this is all in all the program guides, so all the study guides will show this, is that if we go to Tutorials Dojo, which is the official site that we use that will give you access to practice exams that we know function and work, what will happen is that I'm already logged in. But if you come here, what will happen is that you will create an account using your last name, first name at bah.com, right? You know, your standard email address. And make sure you use your bah.com email address. And what will happen is that in 48 hours, you'll get an email that says, hey, 2 business days. You'll get an email that says, hey, you're now registered for your particular exam or whatnot. And they will like register you for practice exams for the certification you're going after. But you have to register. Unfortunately, there's no process where we can enroll you. All the students, you have to come here and create an account using your bah.com email address, and that will allow you to then get registered for the practice exams in question. If you run into any problems, by the way, with that, like let's say you don't see an email in 2 days, you can literally send a message to support@webhsolutions.com. And by the way, this is true for any problems or whatever. And they will troubleshoot. You can just say, hey, here's my email address, and then here's the exam that I was expecting practice exams for. And they will literally, you know, expedite your request and make sure it's in hoc, like it's actually in process. So that's for Tutorials Dojo. So the 3 sections here are that you get the program guide, which is going to give you all the links for the things you want to study. You've got supplemental labs over at amazon.quicklabs.com. And this you also, by the way, have to sign up for using your bah.com email address. This, by the way, happens automatically. So the minute you sign up, we already have you on a list. So the minute you sign up with your bah.com email address, you're going to get access to credits. How do you know? If you click your portrait, see how it says I have 8 credits? You will have somewhere between 30 to 500 credits. Just know the credits are shared, so you're going to see the number change even though you haven't taken a lab. Don't freak out. Okay. If the credits are 0 and you're trying to do a lab, just send an email to support@webhsolutions.com. We get an alert when it goes to 0, but just know if you see 0 credits and we for some reason haven't caught it, send us an email and we'll fix it within 24 hours. So to restate that, you're first going to build some expertise, then you're going to build some experience with supplemental labs. Then you're going to do the practice exams, and you're going to do one exam, one review mode exam, one at a time until you can get 90% on that exam. What do I mean by that? Yeah, let me show you. So if I come up here, let's say I choose Cloud Practitioner Essentials, which I think is at the bottom. Here we are. And I'm in here. So the review mode exams are the ones you want to do. Don't do time mode. You can do section based if you're really interested because they're like review mode exams. But really, we want you to do a review mode exam. And please don't take the final test unless you just want to test and see if you're ready to take the exam, because final test will walk you through as if you're taking the exam. So if you think you're ready for the exam, go take the final test. If you get a 90 or 95 percentile on that final test, you're probably ready to go. If you get an 80, you're not ready to go. Remember, these questions are not an exact copy of what's on the exam. Plus, you're going to be stressed and nervous. So you're going to lose some performance points just simply because you're going to be stressed and nervous, because we all are, right? So just know that's why we have you shoot for a 90 or 95 percentile on these review mode exams, because you're going to lose about 10 points due to stress and the questions aren't going to be exactly the same. And, you're going to do what we all do. You're going to read too fast. You're going to skip words. That's what happens, right? Now, if you're in the practice exam phase of your study, because you've already done all the white papers and the digital training, and you've already done all your supplemental labs, then what happens is that you should come in here and start hammering away at these review mode exams until you can get your 90 90, 95 percentile. Now, let's say we choose one here. The reason that, by the way, we choose these practice exams is because John is a genius. One, he has a photographic memory. Two, he works with Amazon to make sure that he doesn't violate any NDAs or legal constraints. So he rewrites the question so that Amazon's okay with it, right? Three, if you come in here and say, which service should you use if there's a need to launch a self-hosted database, which requires a scheduled shutdown every night to save on costs? So first of all, easy answer, EC2 with an EBS volume, right? And so what happens is that John's going to give you the correct answer. He's going to tell you why the other answers are wrong, which is what he does in orange. He's going to give you the references to the official AWS documentation that says this is why this is right. And if you keep getting these wrong, let's say you keep messing up EBS questions, Elastic Block Store, he's going to give you a cheat sheet you can click on so you can go look at it and maybe double down on some study to understand the difference between block level storage, performance metrics, that kind of thing. Oh, wow, they upped that. Just learned something new. Didn't realize they went up to 64 terabytes for IO2 Block Express. That's cool.
I will say when I did the solution architect associate one, the tutorials dojo tests were by far the most useful part, because not only do they give you the answers, they give you the explanations. I will say that the service by service ones were not particularly useful because it usually was a pretty obvious answer based on which service you were studying for. But the review ones, like the overall practice or the overall review ones were really helpful.
Good. So you're saying that the section based ones weren't as useful?
The ones like the service based ones. So like if it was like the Lambda one, then the question is going to be something like, you want a service that does serverless compute. Which one of these do you want? DynamoDB, EC2, Lambda? And it's like, it was sort of an obvious answer because you were in the Lambda section.
Gotcha.
So,
gotcha.
I still
didn't even
ran
know
through
they
a
had
couple of those,
service-based
but
ones.
yeah, like I did like Route 53. There was a couple I did just because I knew that there were services that I get tripped up on, but
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't even know they had topic-based ones. They must have just added this, by the way, Matt, Alex. So thank you for saying something.
Yeah, it was.
I didn't know this
they
was
were in
here.
the ones back in September. So.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that would be weird because you're in the CloudFront section, so they keep asking you questions about CloudFront. Yeah, it's funny because it comes from the same pool of like 360 questions,
right?
But they're now organized by topic versus section or whatnot. So yeah, that's good to know. Yeah, I can see how that wouldn't be useful. That's why we recommend that you do the review mode, right? So
yeah, it was the review ones were good, and then I did the top or the service-based ones or topic-based ones for the services that I had trouble with.
Good. That's good. Actually, that's a smart way to do it. Good. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, we'll add that into our recommendations. Just know, like, there's 6 essay associates review mode exams that you could take. We only need you to get 90 or 95 percentile on 2 or 3 of these exams. So I don't need you to master all 6 of them. I just need you to take 2 of them, possibly 3 of them, to kind of like be ready to take the exam and pass it. I say that because taking all 6 exams would be pretty intimidating. That would take a long time, honestly. Unless you're just zipping through it because you've got a great memory, which can happen. Yeah. So by the way, 2 or 3 of the review mode exams is what we recommend. We recommend you do 3 if you have 0 hands-on experience with AWS. If you have no hands-on experience working in a production group, then we recommend that you get 90 or 95 percentile on 3 of the review mode exams. Just because you don't have any hands-on experience, so we want to make sure that you can accommodate the variety of questions they're going to ask you. To Alex's point, right? Notice here that the questions, same thing, right? And I'm just going to guess on this one because I don't have time to read it. That's crazy. Anyway, again, they show you the correct answer, and then they show you why the other answers are wrong. Notice that the question complexity went up tremendously from cloud practitioner to solutions architect associate. Notice that question was so long, I don't even have time to read it. I'm just going to guess, right? Just know that they do that, especially as you get to professional. The questions and specialty exams, the questions get longer. They're like a paragraph. The reason I mentioned that to you is that one of the core strategies you need to be aware of is that you're only going to end up with about a minute, maybe 20 or 30 seconds per question. So just note that as you take the exam, you might want to skip questions that you're not getting right off the bat and just mark it for review and just come back and look at it later, because they're going to ask you if you want to review any of your questions before you say submit. So just know that if you're getting hung up on a question, you might want to move on to the other questions and come back to it. Like if you're like, God, I'm just really not getting this question, and you're having to reread the paragraph 2 or 3 times, just note that if you get a question like this and you're rereading the paragraph 2 or 3 times, you probably just want to click mark for review, just move on in the actual exam. If you're doing it here, obviously you should take the time to really understand it and digest it. The more you practice reading these scenario questions, the more you start looking for the things you need to know. For example, this says a website consists of HTML and client-side JavaScript. It's going to be hosted on the AWS environment. There's several high-resolution images that will be displayed on the web page. The website and the photo should have the optimal loading response times as possible, and also should be able to scale to high request rates. Which of the architectures can provide the most cost-effective and fastest loading experience? So you got 2 requirements: cost-effective and fastest loading experience, which, by the way, those are usually in juxtaposition to each other, right? So like, what's the best thing to make this happen to where you can scale the best and you can reduce user latency and it's cheapest? Now, if you didn't know, for example, that CloudFront is used specifically to reduce user latency, and that S3 is great for hosting images and photos and videos and other stuff that are usually hosted, or even client-side JavaScript files that are hosted on a website, then you might have trouble with this like scenario. My point is that the more, if you're doing an above CPE exam, above cloud practitioners, the more you practice on these practice exams, the better you get at digesting scenario-based questions. So to Alex's point earlier, the most useful aspect of this entire program study guide, if you're like crunched for time, is to go through and start doing the practice exams. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Why? Because they will teach you so much about what you don't know about the exam, or even AWS. So if you're completely overwhelmed by this and you're like, Michael, I got like 15 white papers and I got all this stuff to read, great. If you don't have time for that because you got to take the test before December 18th so you can go on family vacation, go ahead and go straight to the practice exams. My only ask is that you master those practice exams. You understand the right answer, you understand the wrong answer, you read the cheat sheets, you look at the AWS documentation, go hammer at those review mode exams until you've got them mastered, and then you'll be ready to, most likely, to take the test. But just know, you probably won't get a 90. You're probably going to pass by the skin of your teeth, right? So that's an interesting phrase, the skin of your teeth. Teeth have skin? Anyway. All right. Questions this point about either the program study guide, the supplemental labs on amazon.quicklabs.com, or the practice exams?
Hi, this is Chris Lee again. Is the tutorials dojo, is there a delay when you're signing up? I just signed up for it while you were talking and resent the email, but I don't see it coming into the inbox or junk folder here.
Yeah, it takes 2 business days for it to register.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I heard you say that. Thanks.
Yeah. It takes 2 business days, so 48 hours for it to register. Sorry, it's just, they're a great website, but they're, that's just their process. I don't know what to say to that. But just know, if you sign up for amazon.quicklabs.com on Quick Labs, that's instantaneous. So you're pretty much, once you sign up and click sign on and you've done your bh.com email address, it pretty much just happens. So, but John just launched his Tutorials Dojo site last year, and Quick Labs has been the official lab provider for AWS for 7 years now. So.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, Chris, I wish I could fix that, but I can't. Okay. Other questions? Okay. Other things to note: if you post a message in Basecamp under the message board, just note that we will get the message. So either your primary instructor will get it, or I will get it, and Greg will get it. Actually, to be honest, all 3 of us are going to get it. So one of us is going to respond to you and say, hey, congratulations, or hey, look here, or good job. Like one of us is going to respond to your query. If you need help, that's also a great place to post, because it will automatically notify the 3 people watching the account that, hey, this person needs some kind of assistance. So just know using the message board is not a bad idea. If you're looking for study partners or other people who are also taking the exam and you want to coordinate with them or whatnot, also not a bad idea to do that either. Okay. Let's see. The last thing that I want to mention is that Amazon's training website used to be aws.training. They just migrated it a couple weeks ago to this thing called Skill Builder. So just know that your login, if you already had a login to aws.training, it transferred over to Skill Builder. Just be aware that Skill Builder is a much different beast. Actually, hold on, let me sign in so I can actually show you what that looks like. Skill Builder is a lot slicker, but if you're looking for additional training content, like, you know, you're like, hey, Michael, that Lambda training that you gave me was not good enough. If you type in Lambda over here on Skill Builder, you will get a ridiculous amount of trainings on Lambda, right? Now, obviously, these are in other languages, which I should probably simplify. But if you want to learn about defense in depth, or, you know, you're kind of interested in, you know, Deep Lens or Event Bridge or other pieces, you can find specifically what you're looking for here. Obviously, Lambda Foundations will probably be the course that may be of the most interest to you if you're looking for foundational stuff. I have not yet figured out how to change my preferences so that it will limit like things like to English and Spanish, for example, if I wanted that. But just know that features are coming. But this is the new website for training, not aws.training, but Skill Builder. Okay. So that's it. That's all I got as far as like covering all the different pieces. Let me just make sure there wasn't anything else. Supplemental labs, practice exams, study guides, how to sign up for the exam. We've covered everything. So I'm going to hang out here in case anybody else has any questions or just wants to ask anything. But technically, we're done with the exam prep. If you run into any difficulties at all, email support, or you can always catch me either on Basecamp or you can email me directly.
I haven't checked yet with the tutorials dojo stuff. Now that I'm also registered for the professional one, will that automatically show up for me in my course list, or do I need to wait a particular period of time? I honestly don't know. I haven't even checked.
Let's see. It's going to take 2 days for tutorials dojo to show up. So 48 hours, 2 business days.
All right.
Once you've registered, even if you already have Matt, sorry, Alex, I'm sorry, I keep calling you Matt. I'm not sure
All
why.
good.
Alex, even though you already like were registered from a prior certification program, it takes 2 days for it to show up. So
Got it. Okay.
if you
I
don't
think I
see it
signed
by
up.
Tuesday, then just send an email to support and say, hey, where am I?
Okay. Yeah, I think I signed up on. I can't remember which day I signed up for the courses, but or for the course, but yeah, I'll keep an eye out for it. And nice. I definitely want to make sure I have that straight and get a practice exam or two before we take the training course there in early December.
Yeah, and we're gonna improve that process obviously over time. But right now, unfortunately, if you don't see it, you just email support@webhsolutions.com.
Cool. Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for the overview.
Awesome. Absolutely. Yeah. Anytime.
Hey, Michael, this Chris Hunt. I had signed up for the Quit Labs. I guess it was the for the class though. It wasn't Amazon.quitlabs.com. I think it was WebAge.
Yeah.
Quitlabs.com. So anyway, I'm trying.
That's the private side. So you can't use WebAge to get access. You have to use Amazon.quitlabs.
Right,
It's two different user things.
Well, yeah. Well, needless to say, I tried to sign up for Amazon.quitlabs.com or whatever, and it's saying that my email is already in use.
Oh, yeah, just click on forget password.
Forget password.
Yeah, so go back to the login page and click on forgot password and just put in your email address, and it will send you your password to your email.
Oh, okay.
Because you probably signed up if you took a class with us. We probably asked you to sign up on the Amazon side of things, in addition to the WebAge side of things.
Let's see.
Yeah. Yeah. So you probably just need your password at that point in time.
All right, we'll see what happens. Thanks.
Yeah. If you run into any problems, email me directly or email support and we'll help you. Chris.
Okay,
But
thanks.
it should send you an email pretty quickly, like within 15 minutes, and says, hey, click here to reset your password. And then that should give you access to the Amazon.QuickLab side of things. So let me know.
All right, we'll do.
Yeah. Daryl or Kelly, do either of you have questions? You're doing good?
I'm good. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, anything pops up, let me know.
Okay.
Otherwise, post when you pass. That's what we want to know next. Or if you need any help at all, just let us know. Okay.
Okay. All right.
All right. Thank you for coming. And we will post this video, I think, out, or at least one version of the video out in every base camp so you can see it. But otherwise, just email us if you need anything else.
All right. Okay.
All right. Take care, y'all. Have a good weekend.
All right. Bye.